Scuderia Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz achieved an exceptional physical recovery to be ready in time for the 2024 Formula One Australian Grand Prix. An unprecedented speed for this type of intervention allowed him to return to the track in good condition, and despite the recent surgery to remove his appendix, he was able to withstand the strong demands of a Formula One car throughout the race weekend at the 5.278-kilometer Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, culminating in his reintroduction to the SF24 car with a splendid victory, surpassing even his more renowned Ferrari teammate. Accelerating the post-surgery period is never easy in everyday life, let alone when, as in the case of the Spaniard, you have to sit in the cockpit of a wing car and endure very high G forces. Not to mention the mental stress that Carlos Sainz has been subjected to, which we know in the top category of motorsport can reach almost astronomical levels. Yet, the Spanish driver did it, and apparently with a certain nonchalance and ease, even though his state of fitness was undoubtedly not excellent considering the enforced rest. Part of the credit certainly goes to his great strength and determination to take part in the Australian Grand Prix, regardless of the possible risks and consequences, a trait already glimpsed at the Jeddah circuit in Saudi Arabia, when just 24 hours after the operation, Carlos Sainz showed up in the garage to support the team in a complicated weekend, where an 18-year-old boy was tossed from Formula 2 to Formula 1 to replace the regular driver of the Maranello team, the most successful in Formula 1 history. A debut of Oliver Bearman that was very convincing, a talent that the prancing horse is nurturing through the driver academy and which Ferrari wants to help find a place on the Formula 1 grid for the next season. To understand Carlos Sainz's rapid recovery, a brief reconstruction of the events is necessary because, as mentioned, the partial recovery of his physical condition required to drive the Ferrari SF24 was by no means a simple matter. In this regard, he was greatly supported by doctors who provided him with various measures to accelerate his recovery and try to be present at the third round of the World Championship in the splendid setting of Melbourne, Australia. Carlos Sainz's time was really tight, less than 2 weeks, considering that in these cases the normal recovery process takes about a month. However, it should be noted that the post-surgery process nowadays has significantly improved, considering the small incisions made in the abdomen to remove the appendix through laparoscopic surgery, followed by continuous and progressive supervision by healthcare professionals. Nevertheless, Carlos Sainz's chances were low, and to make his healing process effective, the Spaniard had to dedicate entire days to recovery. Carlos Sainz gathered all the relevant information by contacting various doctors and his colleague Alexander Albon to get more reliable feedback, as the Thai driver went through the same ordeal, albeit in his case much more complicated. The Ferrari driver used a hyperbaric chamber for an hour, twice a day, supported by a machine for electromagnetic wounds. He also scheduled time for walks and proper nutrition. Nevertheless, he himself was not convinced that he would make it, as before leaving for Melbourne he still spent a lot of time in bed and the use of his abdomen was quite limited. On the other hand, one of the risks in these situations concerns internal healing, because if the skin incision seems in good condition, it does not mean that the same goes for under the skin. Each tissue has a different recovery time frame, and a too hasty return to athletic activities could, among other things, result in the appearance of a hernia. In fact, if we remember, Carlos Sainz himself has said that the problem was not the pain, but rather the strange internal sensations he felt in the car during the first free practice session at the Albert Park circuit in Australia. In this scenario, the strong character of the Spaniard helped considerably in facilitating convalescence, considering the formidable state of the abdominal muscles in the central part of the trunk. At the end of the first week, everything seemed to be going smoothly. After all, it had been explained by the medical team which followed him that this is usually part of the normal post-surgery process. Upon landing in Australia, the turning point came. Continuing the meticulously planned work, he completed the recovery phase necessary to try to get behind the wheel of the Ferrari SF24 car. The rest, as we know, is history, and what a beautiful story it is for Carlos Sainz and the Maranello team, victorious in the 2024 Formula One Australian Grand Prix.